If you are a pastor, a lay counselor, a worship leader, or in the worship band, any position of church leadership, or you are the spouse of anyone in any of those positions, if you are facing things like addictions or adultery, infidelity, pornography, any of those kinds of sins that are huge, that create this huge disconnect between what you do at home and what you teach from the stage, then what you are effectively doing is destroying the power of your testimony. So, my personal story is of being on a worship team with my ex-husband, being on a worship team when he first started talking about divorce. So I know what it feels like to desperately want the people that I serve alongside to help provide a containment for me as we were struggling with what do we do? Where do we go? How do we deal with this angst in our marriage without damaging the testimony of God, of Christ, of the church, of our ministry? And I remember it being so hard to not, I didn't want to do anything that would bring shame to our family or to slander my husband's name or, any of those things that are just, you struggle with when you're in ministry, when you're in the limelight in some form or fashion. So all that to say, I know what that feels like. And so I want to speak into that just a little bit. Probably the biggest thing to consider is that the longer the sin continues, the bigger the mess and the deeper the damage goes to the testimony of the church. So if you are in a place where you're considering what to do, who to talk to, how to find some help in all of this, I want to encourage you to start taking steps sooner rather than later in exposing whatever it is so that you can minimize the damage. It is going to be a mess, no matter which way you look at it. Part of the fear in here of being afraid of what you've got to deal with right now is nothing compared to the fear if you wait 5 years, 10 years from now when the mess is so much bigger. It's better to deal with it now, is what I'm saying. Find people that can help you look at this from a perspective that's not all caught up in emotions. The more removed someone is from the situation, the better it is for them to be able to look into it and give you really objective advice on how to be wise in your next steps, how to honor God, but how to break the sin at the same time. So find people. If that's not your pastor, if it's not the people that you work closely with, there are people in your church who are older and wiser and can help you. So I encourage you to find them when whatever that sin is remains in the dark, in the closet. That's where it holds its power. Your spouse may be able to break that sin on his or her own, but the likelihood of that happening is so small. And the longer it goes in the dark, the more power it has. So if you're really looking to find some help and some hope, you've got to create that crossroads in your marriage where you say, enough is enough. I'm not going to keep this in the dark anymore. I'm not going to enable it to continue anymore. We need help, but in a way that allows God to do the work that he needs to do to eradicate that from your lives. And even if it means that your spouse refuses to take responsibility and to turn from their way, at least you have done the right thing and have a clean conscience before God. And it gives you the space, gives him the space in you to be working out the hard edges, the pride of your own heart, the things he wants to work on in you, because now you have separated yourself from whatever that thing is that had such a hold on your marriage. I would hope that it would not lead to physical separation or divorce, but you do have to consider that your spouse is on their own journey with God, and they may or may not want to acknowledge any wrongdoing, and in the end, they may choose to walk away. But that doesn't mean that God is not still part of the story, and that doesn't mean that you did the wrong thing by addressing that issue. So if you would like some help from me as a counselor to help you just think through what to do next, contact the Marriage Recovery Center and we can get you set up on some sessions. Even if it's just one session, just to help you get your feet underneath you, think through what to do next and to go from there.